Weakness. Do I have weakness? I am nothing but weakness. I'm not naturally strong or fast or flexible. I'm certainly not the smartest person in the world. I get emotional over stupid things. I eat the wrong foods. I don't sleep enough. I procrastinate and I waste time. I care too much about meaningless things and not enough about important things. My ego is too big. My mind is too small, often trapped inside itself. Now, all that being said, I have a saying. A person's strength is often their biggest weakness, but their weaknesses can become strengths.
Success, guys, a very, very lonely road, man. Along that road, you're not going to see too many friends. You see your shadow most often. You got to trust in the heart of hearts. Decide what you're doing, what you believe in is a worthy cause, a winnable fight.
I wish I could tell you you're tired, go take a break. I wish I could tell you tired, rest for a year. I wish I could tell you that it's going to get easier. I wish I could tell you it's going to get easier. I wish I could tell you that if you just keep going, it's going to get lighter.
I dare you to take a stand today to say no more. I will no longer accept this for my life. I dare you to take action today. I dare you to write your goals down and get someone to hold you accountable. I dare you to hold yourself accountable. I dare you to give up everything that is keeping you from your dream, to say no to all the negative influences. I dare you to pick up a book instead of a drink. I dare you to work harder than you think you did yesterday. I dare you to prove them wrong. I dare you to prove yourself right. I dare you to stand up as a man or as a strong woman, as whoever you are, and declare that you are going to claim a bigger and better life for yourself.
When you get to the point where enough is enough, when you get to the point where it hurt real bad, when you get to the point when it's over, when they're tired, when they're frustrated, when they're ready to give up, when they spent their last dime, that's when they get started. But what you cannot do is you cannot quit during the process. You cannot give up because it ain't what you see. You cannot give up.
Pain is there to make you better. Without struggle, there can be no victory. And let me tell you, when you've been through pain, when you've fought for where you are, you ain't gonna let anyone take away what you got. When you've earned it and paid your dues and suffered and failed, been hurt and been down, and you get back up, when pain and struggle comes to face you again, you look it in the face and stand it down. Because you've been through too much. You're too strong now. Everything that has happened to you up until this point has made you who you are. And it will continue to mold you into who you will be.
How do you overcome the suffering of life? Is be a better person. That's how you do it. Well, that's hard. It takes responsibility. And I think, if you said to someone, you want to have a meaningful life? Everything you do matters. That's the definition of a meaningful life. But everything you do matters. You're going to have to carry that with you. Or do you want to just forget about the whole meaning thing and then you don't have any responsibility because who the hell cares that you can wander through life doing whatever you want, gratifying impulsive desires for how useful that's going to be. And you're stuck in meaninglessness, but you don't have any responsibility. Which one do you want? Well, ask yourself, which one are you pursuing? And you'll find very rapidly that it isn't the majority of your soul that's pursuing the whole meaning thing, because, well, look what you have to do that. You have to take on the fact that life is suffering. You have to put yourself together in the face of that.
It starts with yourself, man. You got to start diving into those things that you're afraid of. You don't gain confidence by going to the spot that makes you feel good. It's going to be a false reality. And the second life gives you that challenge, all you want to do is go back to what made you confidence or what gave you confidence. Is that happy spot? No. What gives you confidence, what gave me confidence, was spending years at a kitchen table trying to learn how to read and write on my own. Realizing I can't learn the way you learn. I can't. But I can learn. What gives you confidence, not being afraid, is overcoming the fear. I used to stutter severely bad. So right now, I don't know how many people are going to watch this. You know what gives me confidence? Is knowing I no longer care if I sit here and start stuttering anymore. That's what gives me confidence, is facing these things, overcoming them. And maybe not overcoming them every day, but facing them. And facing and facing. Pretty soon like this, oh man, this is where it's at. It's not in that comfort zone. It's in the discomfort zone is where my confidence is getting built. That's where it's getting built. But people want to, they want an easier answer. There has to be an easier way. It's not. I'm sorry. I searched for it my entire life. I did. I lied. I did everything. And I still felt empty. I walk around with a backpack with all my stuff with no car. And I walk around happiest person in the world. Have nothing. Happy as hell. It's because I found out the whole key to life. It's not in all that. Have to face yourself. So many people live to be 100 years old and they die miserable, having everything, because they never examine. I call it my live autopsy. You never examine this. Happiness, peace, enlightenment, it's all up here, man. It's all up here. And when I start talking like this, people are, man, I don't know. It's the truth, man. It's all up here. You just got to be willing to go and face it. And that's the hard part.
Attitude is a reflection, a result of a person's will. It is incalculably powerful. It can bring about marvelous results for us, but we need to train it patiently, day by day. Now let's talk about the attitudes of people who are successful. The top 5% of the people who go sailing through life from one success to another and who, even when they fail at something, shrug it off and head right out again. No matter who the person is or what he does, men and women in sales, business executives, people in all the professions, wives and mothers, students, top people in the armed forces, public servants, men and women in the service of religion, working men and women in all fields of endeavor, wherever you find a person doing an outstanding job and getting outstanding results, you will find a person with the right kind of attitude. These people take the attitude toward themselves that they can accomplish what they set out to accomplish, that there's no good reason on earth why they can't be competent, successful. They have a healthy attitude toward themselves and, as a result, toward life and the things they want to accomplish. And because of this, they achieve some remarkable things, and they come to be called successful, outstanding, brilliant, lucky, and a lot of other things. They're quite frequently no more brilliant or outstanding than the majority of the people by whom they're surrounded. But they did develop the right attitude, and they found their accomplishments not too difficult, and many times surprisingly easy, simply because it seems that so few are really trying, really believe in themselves. Successful people come in all shapes and sizes and in widely varying degrees of intelligence, background, and so on. But they all have one thing in common. They expect more good out of life than bad. They expect to succeed more than they fail. If you want something worthwhile, take the attitude that there are a lot more reasons why you can have it than there are that you cannot, and set out to earn it. Go after it, work at it, ask for it, and 9 times out of 10, you'll get it. Our environment is really a mirror of our mental attitude. If we don't like our environment, we have to change our attitude first.
Your ability and willingness to discipline yourself to accept personal responsibility for your life are essential to happiness, health, success, achievement, and personal leadership. Accepting responsibility is one of the hardest of all disciplines, but without it, no success is possible. The failure to accept responsibility and the attempt to foist responsibility for things in your life that make you unhappy onto other people, institutions, and situations completely distort cause and effect, undermine your character, weaken your resolve, and diminish your humanity. They lead to making endless excuses. There is a direct relationship between the acceptance of responsibility and the amount of personal control you feel you have over your life. This means that the more you accept responsibility, the greater sense of control you experience. There is also a direct relationship between the amount of control you feel you have and how positive you feel. The more you feel that you have a high sense of control in the important areas of your life, the more positive and happy you are in everything you do. When you accept responsibility, you feel strong, powerful, and purposeful. Accepting responsibility eliminates the negative emotions that rob you of happiness and contentment.
We are most alive, we have the most energy, we are most intimate with our best selves when we're progressing towards our mighty mission. I think what's happened on the planet right now is there's been a great seduction and a great brainwashing. When we are kids, we want to be astronauts. We want to do all our dreams. And we're full of curiosity, and we're loving, and we're passionate, we're strong. We're not afraid to be ourselves. But as we leave the perfection of childhood, the hypnosis and the brainwashing begin. Be reasonable. So that's our nature, but our parents give us limitation based on their limited psychology. And don't sing too loudly, don't dream too big, don't be too passionate. As we've left who we truly are, we've contracted. And now it's all about staying safe in the world versus going out there and letting our brilliance, our primal genius shine. And a lot of people just have stuffed that pain of disappointment and their doubt really deep inside. And they just are addicted to distraction and escapes because they don't want to deal with their potential that they've denied.
What's the most important key to success? I think it's hunger. It's not getting satisfied. A hunger that doesn't go, a hunger to learn, a hunger to grow, a hunger to serve, a hunger to give, a hunger to create breakthroughs. Most people are hungry till they make a certain amount of money and then they get comfortable. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not about the money. It's not about the business. It's about your growth. Because every one of us either grows or dies. People ask me all the time, what does it take to be happy? I say one word, progress. Progress equals happiness, because achieving a goal feels good for how long? A week, a month, 3 months, and then there needs to be something else. And the reason for something else is because you gotta grow.
I want to find more. All I can. And in that sack of you have to dive in that to find more. Because if you're not willing to go in there and face yourself, I can find anything. You can live right here on surface, man, right here on surface. So if there is an ending to this world and there is somewhere to go and there's a judgment, you're gonna get there and you might see a chart. And that chart may tell you who you should have been. And now you get the rest of your life to think about that. Now I could have lived a much better life if I just would have just suffered a little bit more.
Success is not going to show up at your front door and knock on it and say, here I am. It's not coming to look for you. In fact, success is not thinking about you. Success is already doing its job. You got to be willing to do your job. Each and every day that you are breathing in this world, each and every day that you are doing something in this world, you should be focusing on getting better, not worse. You should be understanding that, hey, I can't be this same person on a day in, day out type of way. I got to keep focusing and going further and going harder and going stronger and pushing myself till there's nothing else left to push forward.
So now's the time for you to hit the gym of your life and start exercising your self-discipline muscle. No more talk, no more excuses. From this moment forward, it's all about massive execution. Will there be days that you don't feel like it? Yes. Will there be days that you want to stop? Yes. Will there be days that you want to give up? Yes. Will there be days that you want to quit? Yes. Listen to me. Quitting is never an option.
We've all bought into a lie. We've bought into a lie that confidence is belief in self. And so when you're in a situation which is normal, where you don't believe in yourself, you're like, oh my God, I have no confidence. The truth is, and I want you to walk out of here with a new definition of confidence. Confidence is the willingness to try. Because when you try and you take action, what happens, and what's happened for France, is that when she sees herself taking action, what happens is she sees herself being the kind of person that takes action. So she has evidence that she can rely on herself. And that action is what builds confidence. It doesn't start with belief. The real way for most of us is not to wait to believe, but to push ourselves to act. And through the action, you will build the belief.
We're built to walk uphill. And when you reach the pinnacle of the hill, you want to stop and appreciate the vision. But the next thing you want is a higher hill in the distance, because it's the uphill climb that it's from the uphill climb that we derive our value. And I mean this technically. So almost all the positive emotion we feel, especially the emotion that fills us with enthusiasm, and that's to be filled with the Spirit of God, by the way, because that's what enthusiasm means. That's experienced in relationship to a goal. And so in some sense, and this is part of the religious enterprise, you want a goal that you can never attain, right? So you can always move closer to the goal that recedes as you move towards it. You think, well, that's frustrating. It's like Sisyphus pushing the rock uphill. But it's not, because as you pursue that goal, you put yourself together and your life does get better and richer and more abundant. And that's why the highest levels of virtue and goal are in some sense transcendent. You want them to be above everything you're doing so you can continually move towards something that's more sublime and better. That's what you are. You're here to live, not to sleep.
I didn't study, I didn't study a book. I literally put myself in a fire repeatedly, like a sword. You put a sword in the fire repeatedly and repeatedly. If you keep on doing that, you're going to get a nice sword. And then you keep on beating it. You got to beat the shit out of it. And that's what I am. Yeah. I became that. I said, okay, we can't quit. We got to figure out why you are this. Why are you this, man? What is wrong with you? What's going on here? So I kept on putting the sword back in the daggone fire, and I just beat it harder. And I beat it harder. Before I knew it, I started realizing, all right, man, the brain is starting to get hard. The brain is starting to get hard. I'm no longer a theorist. I'm now a practitioner. I put it in hell. I dissected it while it's in hell, because you can't dissect anything in a normal environment. You can't dissect anything in 72-degree weather. You must put it in the freezer and freeze the fuck out of it. And then you dissect it. Dissect it when it's miserable. Dissect the brain when all it's thinking about is, I need to get out of here, man. I want to get out of the fucking freezer. Open the door. And you said, nah, 5 more seconds, man. 5 more seconds in the freezer. And that's when you start to pick that brain apart. And that's what all this stuff did to me. I kept on putting myself back into the freezer or the fire and beating the out of myself, mentally and physically. Before I knew it, this is what happened.
Ralph Waldo Emerson believed that anyone who had put their heart and soul into their work and had done their very best could hold their head up high. Merely talking about it or only putting in a modicum of effort wasn't good enough in his mind. It was all or nothing. He believed that doing your best was an admirable quality, and that although you might not always be successful, knowing that you had done all you could was often all that mattered. At least you could look yourself in the eye. This ethos is central to many youth movements, such as the Scouts and Guides, and is a great philosophy for life in general. Indeed, doing your absolute best in everything you do is something that we should all aspire to, and it doesn't matter if it's at school, university, work, or home. If you think about it, doing your best is also central to self-reliance, because it allows you not only to test your capabilities, but also helps you to learn and therefore extend them. It's only when you are at the edge of your ability that you can really test your mettle and see just how much you can depend on yourself. Only ever working inside your comfort zone or doing just enough to get by may be easy, but is rarely rewarding. And it never allows you to develop into a fully rounded person or realize your full potential. The following quote from Theodore Roosevelt sums up the essence of Emerson's point. It is not the critic who counts, nor the man who points out how the strong man stumbled, or where the doer of deeds could have done better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs and comes up short again and again, who knows the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, and spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end triumph of high achievement, and who at worst, if he fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who know neither defeat or victory. When you are working on your next task, give it your full concentration and really put the effort in to produce the best possible end result. Even if it doesn't lead to glittering success, you should be proud of yourself for doing your very best. No man fails who does his best.
I don't care who you are, life is going to knock you down. Listen to me, many of you right now, life's got you up against the rope, and you got to do me a favor. Like, you can't give up, you can't give in. Pain is temporary. Pain is your friend. Pain is going to take you to the next level. When you going through pain, I know what you feeling. I know exactly, because I've been there, I've done that, but you got to work through it. And the reason why most of you are not successful is because every single time stuff not going your way, you give up, you quit, you let go, and people feel weakness. They feel it. You can feel when somebody's not committed, when they're not all in, when they're not dedicated. And there's another level you get to when you go all in. Winners win and losers lose.
There are going to be times that you're going to be wondering, why should I keep showing up and work for my business? Why should I keep at it? Why should I keep showing up to the conventions? Why should I keep picking up the phones and making the phone calls? Why should I keep fighting for my goals and fighting for my dreams? And what I want to remind you is that you got to show up for your life regardless of the circumstances. You got to show up in spite of the naysayers. You got to show up in spite of the conversation going on in your mind. You got to show up for your life, because if you don't, nobody else will.
If you want unreasonable results in your life, you've got to be willing to be unreasonable. Part of being unreasonable, you don't judge according to appearances. Part of being unreasonable, you can see it because you believe it. You must have the faith to call forth those things that be not as though they were. You've got to decide, I deserve this, and I'm going to have it. You've got to say yes to your life. You've got to say yes. Yes to my dreams. Yes to me. Yes, I can make it. Yes, I can. Doesn't matter how many failures I've made. Doesn't matter how many mistakes I've endured. Doesn't matter about my defeats. Doesn't matter about what I've done. Yes, yes. I don't care about the fact I'm in a hole now. Doesn't matter about where I am. The last chapter to my life has not been written yet. If you judge me now, you'll judge me prematurely. I'm still in the process of transforming my life. I'm still in the process of becoming. Yes.
The brilliance of Thomas Edison was not in his mind. It was something much more ordinary and often much less respected. I've got no imagination, he once said. I never dream. I've created nothing. If you're someone who doesn't like Edison, you might think that this is Edison admitting to stealing his inventions from other, more brilliant inventors, like Nikola Tesla. Not quite, but he did readily concede that most of the credit belonged to something other than his brain. The genius hangs around his laboratory day and night, Edison said. If anything happens, he's there to catch it. If he wasn't, it might happen just the same. Only it would never be his. What he's talking about is showing up. The incredible, underrated power of clocking in every day, putting your ass in the seat, and the luck this seems to inevitably produce. Edison lived in his laboratory and never missed a day. Like Gehrig, even when he was sick, when he was tired, or when visited by tragedy or disaster. The modern conveniences we can trace to his lab then owe far more to his body than his brain, to the compounding power of consistency rather than sheer brilliance. It wasn't about inspiration. It was about getting to work, show up and try. Get on the treadmill, pick up the violin, script out some sequence, reach out to some clients, read some reports, lift a couple weights, jog 1 mile, cross one thing off the to-do list, chase down a lead. It doesn't matter what it is. All aspects of our life benefit from this circumscribed kind of wisdom. Just as long as you do something every day, that is the important thing. Show up. When you're tired, when you don't have to Even if you have an excuse, even if you're busy, even if you won't get recognized for it, even if it's been kicking your ass lately, once something is done, you can build on it. Once you get started, momentum can grow. When you show up, you can get lucky. Is this still hard? Yes. But the good news is that because it's hard, most people don't do it. They don't show up. They can't even do one tiny thing a day. So yes, you're alone out there on the track in the rain. You're the only one responding on Christmas. But having the lead is, by definition, a little lonely. This is also why it's quiet in the morning. You have the opportunities all to yourself. Don't worry about setting any records. Just report for duty. No excuses. And here's the irony. This is also a way to break records. Consistency is a superpower. Day to day, willpower is incredibly rare. Lowell Gettrig was a solid position player and a good hitter. But his success really was rooted in the fact that he didn't miss many days of work. It's quite likely that had he continued at his normal pace and not been stricken with R's, that he would have put up career numbers that surpassed Babe Ruth. Gettrig wasn't just able to show up despite injuries and fatigue. He also had to push through ennui, doubt, and just plain not feeling it. He had slumps like we all do, but he also understood what they meant. As a minor leaguer, he had struggled at the plate and thought about quitting. The Yankees' owner sent down a scout to walk Gehrig through the very basic math of a batting average. A good hitter hits 300, and hitting 350 is terrific. Hitting 400 is almost unheard of. What does that translate to? Missing on 6 tries out of 10. A hitter can also go days, weeks without touching the ball. That's what the scout told him. The most important thing a young ball player can learn is that he can't be good every day. You don't have to always be amazing. You do always have to show up. What matters is sticking around for the next at-bat. The ability to do that, coupled with the ability to endure what John Steinbeck called dawdly days while writing East of Eden. Those days when everything seems out of whack, when you're just not feeling it, when the distractions won't stop, is the first step to greatness. Literally. You cannot be great without the self-discipline to do that. One thing a day adds up. Each day adds up. But the numbers are only interesting if they accumulate in large quantities.
You guys that are just getting started, you're not going to start right here. You're going to start down there, probably in another city, another town. I grew up in Lake Charles, Louisiana, no money, raised by a single mother. I was in debt at 25 years old. First thing that I had to do in my life was not learn a new skill. First thing I had to do to get my life moving in the right direction was self-development. It is vital. It was vital for me that I improved myself and I could start depending upon me. I had to show up every day with some rituals, some disciplines, and start getting myself to trust me, not trust others, but trust myself to do the right thing every day. One of the things that I started doing was beating the sun up every morning. I'm going to beat that sun up every morning so that I have the discipline and the control over my life. So I knew, hey, before that thing pops, I'm going to pop. I'm going to get out of bed, depend on myself, get up at the same time every day. And for me, that time, regardless of where I was beat that sun up. No matter where I am, I'm going to beat that thing up. So it gives me a sense of control over my own life. Second thing, I had to start cleaning up my life and my friends and my environment. When I was younger, between 15 and 25, I was doing crazy stuff in my life. Wasting my weekends. I have the saying, weekends are for the weak. I was drinking, fooling around with a bunch of bad things, bad people. At 25 years old, I cleaned it all up. Quit going to those places. Quit hanging out with people that did not have ethics and discipline in their life. I wanted to build something in my life. I wanted to become someone. And to do that, to become someone in the eyes of the world, just beating that sun up every morning gives me the sense of accomplishment. That I did what I said I was going to do. That I woke up when I said I would wake up. And I start building respect for myself. Start believing in myself so that I can go out into the world. And maybe today when I go into this meeting that I'm dressed for, they'll believe in me as much as I believe in me. And that'll show up in a contract, a deal, maybe even some money.